Here, make
B94.
Start with blaming Coach my team, but he didn't throw that INT. Let's move along to Arthur Smith. He should've known that scheme won't fit. We can't leave out Justin and Russ. We'll point at everyone.
There ain't no shoving. Offensive linemen need some loving. Now all is quiet. It once was buzzing. We can't live within our fears, but our trenches are filled with tears. Whatever happened to the big boys? Whatever happened to bullet ball? The black and gold could use some new poison. Running game has hit a wall, and our QBs are gonna fall. Don't look good for Broderick Jones. What's going on? Only Tomlin knows. How will we score with all these lineman woes? We can't live within our fears, but our trenches are filled with tears. Whatever happened to the big boys? Whatever happened to Bully Ball? The black and gold could use some new boys, a running game has hit a wall, and our QBs are gonna fall.
B94.
Sound the battle cry, battle cry. Boots on the field, yeah. We make some noise.
We make noise. We make noise.
The black and gold swarms with a heart of steel.
Of steel, of steel, of steel.
Tomlin's at the helm.
At the helm, at the helm.
And it's all so real.
So real, so real, so real.
Cause I'm watching, and I'm leading, and I'm winning. I'm with the team I'm rooting for. I'm strategizing, never quitting, black and yellow, flowing through my core. Cause it's crunch time, crunch time, crunch time, crunch time. And the steel curtain, whoa, curtain, curtain, curtain. We blitzing, with the force we're bringing more. I'm commanding, command. Steel spine vision, 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 vision. Steel city, pumping in my soul. We got the power, power, power in every hour, hour, hour. Pittsburgh rushes in. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Defense like iron, like iron. Positions firing, 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 firing. But we're here to win. We're here to dominate.
I'm not gonna worry about your level of concern.
We talking about
Twitter.
think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that.
I don't send messages, I just make moves. I'm not good enough.
Where is it? Oh.
We mock ourselves.
4 years ago, a voice entered the Yinzerverse. They were tired of all the toxic talk on Twitter, all the clickbait on the internet, all the made-up narratives on national media, all the fake outrage on the so-called fan.
Mm-hmm.
With a fresh perspective.
That's right.
To break through the BS. And actually serve Steeler Nation something that they deserved. Or maybe not deserved. 4 years ago. Now 156 weeks straight later? Is that...
I mean, yeah.
Without a break. Whoa. Since then, they've brought you the story of the Black Air Force Ones. Not exclusive interviews with Dick LeBeau, Levon Kirkland, Roy Blunt Jr., And most recently, did we have another good interview?
There was another guy. I forget who it was.
Why can't I remember?
I don't know. It must have been.
Oh, the band, the story of Myron Cope.
Yes, that guy.
An album of original Steeler songs. Plus viral parodies like Yinz Didn't Start the Fire. And what do we have to say for it? I don't know. It's what Jin's talking about. 4-year anniversary.
Well, right? This is the start of the 4th year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. This is the first episode of year 4.
But that's how it works, right? You don't say your 0 birthday.
Right. I mean, it's just I've had trouble wrapping my mind around the time, but perhaps that's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, that's our defensive scheme right there. It's what Jin's talking about. The conversation about the Steelers conversation. Serving up to handfuls of Steeler fans every week. Amidst a cornucopia of misinformation and mindless banter. No, we rise above the fray.
That's right.
I'm Kyle Kreis. Here with me is Greg Benevent.
Hello.
I'm going to need a Clark. Well, it's not even a Clark bar anymore. It's a Clark cup to fuel me. Born in the Berg. Well, not the Clark cup. The Clark bar, maybe.
Right. Yeah, the Clark bar. You would pass by the old Clark bar building on the way to the stadium. I remember doing that with the old man.
This week, we're in December form in the preseason.
Are we ever?
Man, it's like we said this 2 weeks in a row now. It's like we learned from last year that we can't judge the preseason by what There's not going to be what actually happens in season.
Right.
But here we are. Mm-hmm. And the takes, the
takes are already in mid-season form. Like they are mid-season bad long before September.
Yeah, we'll talk O-line, we'll talk Arthur, we'll talk maybe a little Tomlin, maybe a little Khan. I don't know. Mostly quarterback. Mostly so much quarterback. I had to censor myself. I was like, let's try to keep this down to 1 page of quarterback talk. All right, let's get to these takes. Starting with a little batting practice with the home field advantage at Robert Golden. Pittsburgh, I think we know who our starting quarterback is. Not Steeler Nation doesn't. Maybe Rob knows.
Since he came up at the press conference randomly the other week, maybe he's now in the know once again. I took everyone connected to the team at their word that it is Russell Wilson, and no one seems to have listened to that.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in. Let's dive in head first to these shallow waters. Thank you. At Kirk Benkirk. You can't watch Justin Fields and Wilson in the same game and think Fields won't bring more to this team at this point in both of their careers. You can hear it in the fans at the stadium how much Fields excites them. Well, if we're we're the same fans who called for Kenny Pickett in September of 2 years ago, right? The same fans who, wanted Mason, who, wouldn't give Mason the time of day in 2021. But then, come 2023.
I can't think of anything I would want to determine this less by than how much the fans in the stadium know how Fields excites them.
Yeah. Oh, come on, sound effects. If you're not going to work today, you know what? Thank you. I'm just going to start with a new tab here. I can't.
Okay.
I can't with what's I don't even know what's whatever. Okay. Okay. Yeah, only 4 years, and we're still trying to get the technical kinks worked out here. At Mic'd Up Sports 1, Mike Nicastro. Justin Fields hasn't led the Steelers to a single touchdown drive in his 2 games so far. Can we pump the effing brakes and embrace Russell Wilson as the starter before running him out of town before the guy even takes a snap? I guess this is reasonable for everyone who was like Justin Fields. Yeah, well, Justin Fields wasn't super duper either. I mean, and he's playing against at least this week he was playing against backups.
Right, exactly. Where everyone here was clearly much better than. I mean, Justin Fields is going to be the best athlete on the field, whoever he's playing against at any time. But he still didn't exactly light it up against the backgrounds. This feels like this might be the last reasonable take we see for the rest of this episode.
Let's just keep moving on. What else is there to say about some of these? At Mazursky8895 Baku, Justin Fields went 11 for 17 with 92 yards in the air, 78.7 passer rating, 42 yards on the ground. You'd think he'd went 0 for 20 with negative 13 yards with the expectations he's held to by the league. I don't get it, man. He's not perfect and has things to work out, but you act like that's a bad stat line. I mean, that's not a great stat line, right? He played a half in a 2-minute drive for 92 yards. You expand that to 4 quarters. Well, we're talking 180 passing yards, 82 running yards. Maybe that's not horrible, but a 78 passer rating. That sounds like it sounds Pickett.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds exactly where they were a year ago. I mean, obviously the 80 yards on the ground would probably have something different to do with it, and also presumably Boswell isn't missing kicks in this scenario. But no, I do think I didn't realize until these last 2 games, that is something that's kind of eye-opening for me, is how much the rest of the fans of other teams in the league criticize Fields and what negativity there is for him around the league. So I do kind of see this person's point. I do think I'm not determining anything from this preseason game, so it's hard for me to get too up or too down about it, because I very much is the preseason. But I mean, while those numbers could have been better, they sure weren't terrible. But maybe I'm too used to like second halves of Landry Jones.
That is a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the reason to start Fields is to have a middling passing attack.
Right.
I mean, that might win some. Man, there'll be close games. Though it might win some games, but that we better stay healthy on defense. With that. Yeah.
Staying healthy everywhere. Yeah. I mean, not just on defense, on that offensive line too. But yeah, and I think I definitely think while there's optimism for this offense, it's gonna probably take a while to get together due to all the new guys and the offensive line of young dudes and all that. So they could be playing some close games here through to September. We will see, but we don't know yet because it's the preseason.
How about this is a hit on against Fields at _ Adam Crowley. Adam Crowley. Steelers are 0-15-1 over the last 3 seasons when they lose the turnover battle. There is no QB controversy. Tomlin is going with Russ. Will Russ protect the ball better than Fields? I mean, we keep saying, or you keep saying at least too, that we're going to have more turnovers this season than we had in the past 2 years.
I do say that, but I do believe that Russ is also going to turn over the ball less than Fields. I agree with this take. I don't think there ever really was a QB controversy, just because the way I understood it, the way it was reported, the way it was said everywhere, is that when they traded for Fields, they made it clear to him, like, hey, Russ is in the pole position. Russ is the guy. If you come and blow our doors off, sure, we'll give you a chance to start, but that didn't happen, and that also would have been contingent upon Russ not doing as well as he has in practice, as well as he has picking the offense up. So this take is also correct. Tomlin's going to go with Russ. I think Russ turns over the ball more than Pickett and Mason, maybe not Trubisky, but he also turns it over less than Fields. So given the option, the experienced guy that turns over the ball less, yeah, Tomlin's going with that.
Yeah.
I don't send messages. I just make moves.
Yeah, well, I mean, the message is don't lose the ball.
Right. That is the message.
Well, I mean, let's how about a pro Fields take?
Okay.
At F Ball Forever HQ, Football Forever. Steelers quarterback Justin Fields has the highest average time to throw this preseason among 73 qualified QBs, according to PFF. Fields also had the NFL's highest average time to throw in 2023. So it was 3.39 seconds in 2023. This season, in the preseason, he's had 3.93 seconds. I can't tell, is this a compliment on the offensive line, or is this a detriment to Fields holding on to the ball?
My guess is it's a detriment to Fields holding on to the ball and a compliment to Fields being able to get away from initial pressure. I think it's more the former than the latter, but the latter is also strongly implied. And I saw that in the game on Saturday. I saw Fields being able to get away from the initial waves of dudes who will very soon be driving Amazon vans. That absolutely occurred. He was able to elude them and get rid of the ball for the most part.
I somewhat resent that.
Yeah, I mean, they could be practice squatters.
No, I mean, certainly will. I mean, well, the Bills are going to have some stars. I mean, I was just trying to, I mean, it's, well, and also I think things changed since Fields was in the game so long. When Fields came in for the 2-minute drive, when he came in the third quarter, yeah, those guys are going to the Bills practice squad. It's the guys in the fourth quarter that maybe not as much, on account of it being the fourth quarter. Like,
okay, how about let's not pick sides. Let's just hate the whole QB room in general. We've got at Drew Magary with his annual Why Your Team Sucks article. Watching the Steelers since Roethlisberger's retirement has been like waiting for the stock market to crash. And the quote here is, our blockbuster offseason move upgraded us from having the worst QB room in the division to having the worst QB room in the division. Is that the fair assessment? I mean, yeah, compared to Joe Burrow, I guess even Lamar Jackson. But I mean, are we still? Is it that obvious that it's the worst QB room in the division?
I mean, until Deshaun Watson does any of the things he did in Houston, I think it is a debate as to what is the worst QB room in the division. And also, I didn't read, compared to it, Why Your Team Sucks, the Cleveland Browns, to see what Magary said. Because I strongly doubt Magary had too many kind things to say about the QB room in Cleveland either.
Yeah, I mean, what do they have? They have like 4 backups and a multi-million-dollar guarantee.
I mean, Jameis Winston, DTR, which is because I don't remember those 3 names, and yes.
Okay, and I mean, it's still an upgrade at QB nonetheless, right, for us, right? I mean,
exactly, and this is a lot of it's something that I think we heard a lot in the offseason, is that the Steelers team could be better, could be improved, could even be significantly improved, and take a step back in the record in the season just because of it's such a challenging schedule, so many tough teams that they play, etc. And yet this still could be a better team. I do think the QB room has improved. But I also think I don't know yet because it's still the preseason.
Well, what if it's, what if all this QB mess is someone else's fault? Like at Dave Damashek. Don't forget, Yinz, with the exception of Art Smith, the brain trust making the call on Russ Fields is the same group that didn't know Mason Rudolph was better than Pickett or Trubisky. Let's go back to this, I mean, I'll remind Steeler Nation that Mason Rudolph was not 31 teams weren't interested in signing him. And,
precisely.
It took, we put him in because there was, we couldn't put in, because we couldn't, I don't know, there was no other quarterbacks to put in there.
Doc wasn't even on the roster anymore. Mason Pickett was better than Mason for in all the offseason and all that. I mean, it wasn't until they had not entirely different offense, but a different offense that Mason came in and was better. This idea that, the Steelers had this Marino Mason character for years and just never gave him a chance I get it. It was very easy to watch this game and think like, oh my God, everything's going to be terrible again. But how you could think that after having seen last year's preseason and just assume that this is going to be what happens in the regular season is just so asinine to me.
If we're going to make comparisons. If we went from the perfect preseason, right, 5 starting drives, 5 touchdowns, to having to squeak it out in December and lose our whole QB room in the offseason, that means that when you have a garbage preseason, we should be undefeated, 17-0.
Right. And also, I know a lot of people much smarter than me that watch preseason games from other teams, which I wouldn't even do for a lot of money. Have said that the play is terrible across the preseason. I get it. It's easy to be discouraged, but just try to think.
Oh, period. Try to think. Try to think.
Yeah.
That's hard for Steeler Nation. Well, let's get the pulse of the fans here at Blitzburg. Who do Yinz want as QB1? 69% Justin Fields, 31% Russell Wilson. I think last week or 2 weeks ago it was closer to like 56-44.
Yeah, it was 56-44. Justin Fields has picked up some key constituencies across the Commonwealth.
Yeah, he's picked up the swing districts of Aliquippa and
picked up some delegates along the way. And this would, of course, exactly last up until the moment they put Fields into a game and he just rainbowed a beautiful interception to one of the members of the other team, or he ran 50 yards and was hit by a safety and fumbled, and it was run a long way back. No, it's Fields can do exciting things you've never seen before, and and this is what everyone said would happen all off season. This exact thing. Fields would do something exciting in the preseason. Everyone would say, wow, he should start. And no, he shouldn't. And that's exactly what happened. And everyone kind of forgot we talked about that.
Yesterday's a hard word for me.
Yeah, pretty hard to remember what we just talked about yesterday.
Right.
Isn't it interesting let's look at the media, who are the people cheering for Justin Fields? It's guys like Florio and Chris Sims and Dan Orlovsky and Kyle Long. Sure, some of them are former players, these media heads who are trying to get eyeballs and clicks and attention.
Certainly.
Now, who are the people calling for Russell Wilson? Let's see. I've got Bill Cowher, Bill Belichick. Right. Doesn't that say enough right there?
I was going to say those are two people I'd listen to. Yes.
And it's not even like maybe should have. They're both like, we're going to stick. Belichick said we should stick with Russ because he can protect the ball better.
Yes, exactly. Because Belichick has seen that 15-1 stat, or if he hasn't seen it, he's sensed it.
One last take on QBs. At Steeler Nation. Two more. We'll do two more. At Steeler Nation. Steelers urged by former GM to go sign Ryan Tannehill. That's panic mode, I think. Are we going to go? Is Tannehill an upgrade over Russ? I
don't think he's. I think he's barely an upgrade over John Reese Plumlee at this point. I do want to say this, as you've called out this as Steelers Nation account many times as being like the low key hater. If you've seen this account anytime recently, there's nothing low key about it anymore.
No.
And it's just completely worded. Like, I think the pinned tweet I saw the other day was like, Steelers fans wouldn't be happy if this reunion occurs. And I'm like, think of all the different ways you could word that and how narrowly you'd have to craft it to say that way. And I think that might have been about, like, they might talk to Juju. Like, it was something like that, and they found a way to get it to there. It is absolutely it's almost like an AI hater site, like as if designed by an artificial intelligence to raise the blood temperature of whatever Yinzer should stumble across it.
You're exactly right.
If they thought Tannehill was better than Fields or Russ, they would have signed Tannehill. That wouldn't have,
he's still out there.
Yeah, I might rather have Andy Dalton still at this point.
Exactly, right. Somebody that I've seen at all recently, but.
Or let's bring Flacco over across the water.
I think is he in Indianapolis? But they might cut him. Who knows? That kid was looking healthy to Richardson. Yeah.
Okay, now the last take on after 20 minutes of football QB talk at fake KDKA news. The Steelers aren't going to have either of these quarterbacks next year, are they? The answer in sports. It's Dak Prescott.
It's Dak Prescott's time, baby. Oh man.
I'm still surprised maybe, or I'm still holding on to the fact from the DK article from, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, that was like, yeah, they're already thinking about Russ long term.
Yes, and there's also been reports they're thinking about Fields long term. I do think they haven't made a decision about anything long term yet because it's still the preseason. So that's why I think, the subtext of all of this is how it's the preseason. Like all this noise, that's the bedrock beneath it.
Okay, well, enough QB talk now. We've got to talk offense.
These are the new leads. These are the Glengarry leads.
The Glengarry leads are, I think they're in hiding for a week.
I don't think we've seen the Glengarry leads. I think they're still selling that Drek they tried to give to Shelley Levine.
Let's start with the Arthur Smith takes at Pittsburgh Sports, Steelers takeaways. I mean, in past seasons, it's been week one of I think Fiechner Ball was week one.
I think it was.
Now, 3 weeks earlier, now we've got, is this Matt Canada's offense? Seriously. Seriously. Is this seriously, we haven't seen a jet sweep. Seriously, we haven't seen, I don't know. I mean, it's like, is this just default trolling now? It's like something goes bad. Oh, Matt Canada.
Absolutely. I want to say it was Zachary Smith, one of the guys at Steelers Now, made the point that within the first quarter of the first preseason game, somebody in the comments just typed Arthur Canada. like 5 minutes into the game. Like that was, and that's impressive. I don't even know if the Steelers had the ball at the time. But yeah, this is just, Canada is going to be like a borderline slur now for the next several years. People are just, I mean, this is amazing that this person has written it out there. That's really something. Seriously.
Well, is this serious or not? Because we've got, Tomlin disciple Stephen A. Smith not showing much faith here. Here's let's hear what he has to say.
I don't want to ever, and I've never said this before because I believe in Mike Tomlin so much, but the Steelers got last place written all over them, Shay. They got last place written all over them. I don't see how they get out of this, Shay.
Last place written all over them. It hasn't happened since 1989.
It hasn't happened since Stephen A. Smith was still at the Philadelphia Inquirer. That's how long it's been since it happened. Stephen A. Smith is very, very good at his job, which is to go on TV and get you fired up about sports every day. He's a very intelligent man that's very, very good at that. In a weird way, if you try to embrace this argument in a better faith than which it was presented, I can say, okay, if all you have seen and all you are basing your prediction on are the offense you've seen in the first two preseason games, then you can say, sure, if that's all this team is ever going to be, then yeah, they'll be in last place. I mean, that's asinine. That's a ridiculous argument. But if you want to say that, sure. But that's never what these people are saying, even though it's very much what they're implying.
Yeah. I don't even understand where that's coming from. Where that's coming from.
Okay,
No. Tomlin repeated twice. It's a good point. I mean, if that's all you think this offense is ever going to be, then sure, they'll be in last place. But that's also not going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than generational. It might be 2 generations at this point,
yes.
right? 89.
I wasn't following the team then. Yeah.
That was the first. It wasn't even the regular season. Well, I do remember the first 2 weeks because it was the blowouts that the Steelers got blown out.
But that wasn't the year they finished in last place, right? It had to have been the year before that because when they got blown out, they went to the playoffs, right?
Oh, you're right.
So yeah, it would have been the year
88.
before that.
Yeah. Okay.
So even longer.
Okay. Well, is this a half reasonable take? Let's go to the Mad Genius at Mark Madden X. Mark Madden. How bad the Steelers' offense has been in preseason doesn't mean a lot, but it doesn't mean nothing. I think that's a double negative.
Yes, it is, but we'll allow it.
Does it mean nothing? I mean, we just saw a perfect preseason that didn't mean nothing. So can they meager can this preseason mean nothing? I mean,
I'm glad Madden put the first sentence because that is smart. And 2, I think it doesn't. It can mean something in the context of, hey, here's some stuff to work on. Here's some stuff to fix. We got to figure out exactly what is wrong with Broderick Jones and fix that. I think, or he's got to learn how to play with this brace or something or other. Sure, I do think it if you look at it with a more granular kind of analysis than I am capable of, then yeah, I'm sure it showed them some. I mean, the way I've had it explained to me by people that are smarter than me, the Steelers are trying things out here on offense in the preseason, and hopefully they're able to see, hey, this looks like it's something that could work. Hey, this looks like something maybe we don't want to mess with that quite so much right now. So I could see it meaning something in the context of that.
Okay, all right. I like it.
I'm guessing here. Again, I'm trying to approach this with a level of good faith.
I mean, I'm hearing that they're not showing anything because it's preseason. But they're showing something, right?
Right. I mean, they are going out there. I know everyone uses the phrase vanilla. I guess I don't understand. I mean, the one thing I have heard is never mind. So I haven't heard anything. But whatever this is, last year it was the vanilla, and they kept the vanilla all year, and it didn't work. So.
All right. Well, speaking of vanilla, at dad of two kids, C. Without another bona fide weapon, this offense scares no defense. Fairly easily defended. The red zone incompetence will continue. It'll be another season of defensive fortitude to win games 2017, 17-14. Team isn't built to score 30 consistently. I think the second half of this tweet might be correct. We might be squeaking out games in the fourth like we have the past, 3, 4, 5 seasons.
They said 6. I've heard 6 years since the Steelers had a good offense, and 4 or 5, 6 years, certainly something like that. We also live in an NFL where fewer teams than you might think are built to consistently score 30 points too. That's coming down a bit, but these are also the first people that, were they to trade for Brendan Ayuk or something equivalent, would give a lot of, well, they're not doing enough to help this weapon in the red zone. The team could use another offensive weapon. Pretty much every team could. Another offensive weapon would help. But I don't know. I do think there is something to this team's going to be. I don't think their offense is going to blow too many teams out, although I'm willing to be surprised because, again, it's still the preseason.
Maybe this is a smart. Is it smart? I don't know. Is it tempered? At Ben Anderson 58. Ben Anderson, flipping a team that averaged 18 points a game for 2 years to a high-scoring unit isn't going to happen in one season. It's why I've been telling people to temper their expectations all along. People will get fired up about acquisitions and think things will turn immediately. They don't. But I thought this season might be the season that we flip things a little bit more. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's. I agree with a lot of this. I don't believe it should be. It isn't going to happen in one season. I would say it isn't going to happen in 1 month or 2 months. I do believe, as Tomlin has said many times throughout his career, the team should be improving as they go. I mean, obviously you'll have injuries and wear down and this, but the team should be getting better and becoming more cohesive, particularly on offense. I mean, that's as cliche as it gets, but it's true. The defenses always start in a better place than the offenses, and this is a young offense and certainly a new one. So yeah, they should improve over the course of this season. It's a little weird to say this, but it is true. They did improve over the course of last year as the season went on.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. 18 points a season. You could argue was QB play. Some will argue offensive coordinator. Well, those things got changed.
Right, exactly.
So
it's reasonable to see an improvement.
I want to see, I want to see some improvement.
That's a real good point, Kyle.
I don't know about 30. I don't know about 30.
Yeah,
maybe
30 points would be nice. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many teams are putting that up because remember the Chiefs didn't for much of the season.
Yeah, you're talking at minimum 5 scores, and out of what do you get? 6 or 7 possessions in 8 possessions in a game
and a half. I mean, it's I don't know. I think you get more than that in the course of a game. But yeah, but also your defense should be good, so that should give you more possessions.
Yeah, that's a. Okay, let's see what the alumni take is at Trey Day 79, Trey Essex. Let me preface this by saying it's been a very small sample size, but from my point of view, the play calling for Russ in this game versus Justin in game 1 has been starkly different. This is extremely tough for a young offensive line and a new offense with a new offensive coordinator. Not making excuses, that's just getting your ass beat. But as far as cohesion, that's tough. Is Arthur Smith calling a different offense for Justin than Russ? Is that why players can't get rhythm going?
I mean, I certainly didn't notice the play calling. I'm not in a position to judge or analyze such things. I do want to say that as we're starting year 4, there are a lot of recurring characters that we've noticed here on this show and their social media tweets. And when we started, Trey Essex, a former alum, was one of the more positive people. And then over time, that has begun something of a decline into negativity. Still love Trey Day, an important part of Steelers history and a great player on the team. But and how I'm sure he comes by his feelings honestly. But he has been more negative as time has gone on. And I know he's voiced perhaps more worrisome criticisms of Broderick Jones than other folks who may not be as learned nor have Trey's experience might have done.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, the more you're on Twitter, the more you become the Twitter troll or something.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, you can go back to Nishi on this one. You stare into the abyss stares back into you.
Oh yeah, and it's been blinking. It's giving you bedroom eyes. The abyss. Let's talk. This is my biggest concern.
It's good to see the big boys.
Let's talk big boys, offensive line. The tweet from @you're under arrest. Dane, you won't win a damn thing no matter who you have if the O-line is not good. That seems to be, for me, it's like, why hasn't Russ shown Russ stuff? And it's because he hasn't had any time to throw.
Yes, and I did, and that was the one thing that was genuinely concerning to me, sitting at Barney's Beanery in Burbank watching the first half of the game on Saturday, was how Greg Rousseau, who apparently is a player on the rise for the Buffalo Bills, just manhandled Broderick Jones throughout the first half of that game, and then afterwards, every Steelers beat reporter and social media person who was at the practice not 48 hours prior had said the exact opposite had gone on at the practice, in that the joint practice Broderick Jones had handled Greg Rousseau then. So that, to me, is the most concerning thing with this offensive line, and I take that to mean, hey, there's going to be some inconsistency with these young guys. That they'll be playing 2 games in 3 days, but yeah, I think that it's going to take them some time to get together. So hopefully the defense and/or Russ and/or Najee can steal some games here in September.
He didn't urinate down his leg, man. That's a great place.
Well,
to begin.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was looking for pant stains on those shorts.
Yeah, some of those really were that ugly. Like, I think that's a good point, Kyle.
Let's go back to Mark Madden X. Mark Madden. Broderick Jones should be at left tackle, period. Enough around. It's coaching malpractice. I don't know. After seeing those snaps, would it even matter where Broderick Jones is playing? It doesn't seem like that was the weakness, was him playing out of position.
Yeah, I think they sort of caught bad luck in that he and Fautanu had injuries at the same time. I think that sort of led to them kind of scrambling to put this all together as best they can. I mean, as someone that knows nothing about this kind of thing, sure, it makes sense to my layperson brain that you would want to put one person in one position and have them learn one job. I don't know what reciprocity right side has versus the left, but I also know that these guys are trying to win too. So I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that this is as dumb an idea as everyone who's not in the room seems to think it is.
That is a reasonable expectation.
Well, I mean, I think it's, everyone's just assuming that, we put Broderick Jones at left tackle, he's going to be the instant starter. But I think that what we're seeing is Dan Moore Jr. has a lot of bone in this bone fight. He's
Dan Moore Jr. is going to go on to a lengthy career somewhere else after the season, and it seems like he's going to play some this year just due to the injuries to Fautanu and Jones already. But yeah, they're going to have, when Dan Moore goes, they're going to have to draft another tackle somewhere to at least be a backup.
Yeah, he's not the pushover that Steeler Nation thinks, seems to think he is.
Until he plays Myles Garrett. hurt, and then he's the pushover.
Yeah, but hey, no, yeah, he can get a 0 score, but no sacks allowed. I guess that's really, that's what he puts on tape, right?
We would take it. We would take it.
How about this take at Carney Media, Trey Carney? People, relax about Broderick Jones. He's been moving around a lot in training camp between right tackle and left tackle. He's a natural left tackle and will be fine once he finally stays at his natural position. At this point, we're not going to see him at his quote unquote natural position. If Fautanu is healthy, it's probably going to be more in Troy.
It's entirely possible that for the Atlanta game, it might not be. Fautanu has said very recently that he's going to be fine for the Atlanta game, and if we're to believe all the reporting that regardless he's starting at right tackle, then it will come down to Moore and Jones. Maybe this is something to watch during the Detroit game if you're looking for something to watch in this game. It's a preseason game, so you certainly don't have to or feel obligated, but it does seem that the Steelers are at least going to put some of their starting offense out for a minute. And Detroit has some good pass rushers. I don't know if they're going to play any of them, but yeah. So Jones will be out there most likely for the first few series, and that could be telling as to what's going to happen in a few weeks.
Do you want to see Jones? Okay, so if they have their starters out there at first, then you're going to see Dan Moore and Broderick Jones. Do you want to see Jones at left tackle, or do you just want to keep everyone off the field and healthy for the first game?
I always go back to wanting everyone to be healthy, but I did change my opinion of that, I think, the moment Minkah Fitzpatrick picked off that pass and ran through the entire Bengals offense. So I'm fine with them being out, with having them out there a bit more for the first game, just because this team has to learn how to play together somewhat, as opposed to trying to figure it out in the first quarter against the Falcons. Like, the Bengals could do that against the Steelers, give up, 5 turnovers, and still probably should have won the game if Minkah doesn't block that extra point. I don't think this Steelers team is that good enough for week 1.
And if Broderick Jones is if he's dealing with injuries, I don't want to lose him too. And because then who's the next Dylan Cook? Is that the guy?
I was going to ask you if that's the guy. I think that's the guy.
Or Spencer Anderson, can he play tackle?
I think isn't that why Spencer's around? He can play every position. He's usually a guard, but they can play him everywhere. I thought that was kind of part of the reason why this guy's the 7th round pick sticking around for 2 or 3 years at this point.
Well, let's talk about health. At Mark Cabali of the Pat McAfee Show and WWE.com. Broderick Jones, I'm as healthy as I'm gonna get. Is that's like that's not necessarily the best endorsement on one's health. I'm as healthy as I'm gonna get. Okay, well,
it sounds like something you or I would say if they were like, "How healthy are you?" I'm as healthy as I'm gonna get. I don't know. I actually watched this interview before I came over here, and I got to say, Broderick Jones does seem like the kind of person that if he can figure out the football part of this, the guy seems like he's going to be a leader. It really does. But he's just got to not get beaten by some guy you've barely heard of consistently. So I did, and he said it very matter-of-factly, and he also, there was no it was all this. He said, no, I just got to play better. He was very upfront about that. So it seemed, he said the right things. It's something else to say the right things versus doing the right things with a brace.
Okay, well, who's to, I guess the question is, who do we have to blame for the current state of the O-line?
After 2 preseason games.
At Steelers win 109, Minkaberg Steelers. By the way, if Broderick doesn't pan out, I'm fully prepared to blame the Steelers and the way they absolutely botched and continue to botch his development. The first round pick, he should be an automatic star, right? Or is it this? I can't blame. I don't know. I hate all these takes. We got about 4 of them coming up about blaming the coaches and Tomlin and all this.
It's
the player, right?
And it's also too early to blame everyone. He was an excellent run blocker in the second half of the season when he came in on the right side. The running game changed overnight when Tomlin made up that thing about Chooks saying mean words at the end of the Jacksonville game. Everything turned around from that. There's, we're talking about, the Steelers didn't notice how good Mason was. else. None of that Mason stuff happens if they don't put Broderick Jones at right tackle like they did and when they did. So this idea that it's, and also I think there's something that's easy to forget about, because the Steelers in our lifetime have never had a tackle with this amount of talent, never one they picked this high, is that it's not like a lot of these players' growth is just solely on this upward trajectory. I imagine there are going to be ups and downs, peaks and valleys, particularly somebody that still, as of this, after one season in the NFL, has less experience in the offensive line than Troy Fautanu.
Yeah, that's...
You're exactly right.
That's right. Okay.
I mean, because all these 4 takes are going to be the exact same thing of that. And also, Meyer's done a fine job with so many other guys. Spencer Anderson was nobody. Guy's going to be all around. Dan Moore is going to be able to sign his own ticket anywhere he goes. Zach Frazier seems like he's on a fine trajectory to be a good starting center for a long time. No one complained about him against the Bills. So, yeah, it's, this is one he has to get right in terms of the amount of investment the Steelers have put into it, sure. But this idea that, Meyer has failed all these guys just because Dotson fell into a good system in L.A. with another Hall of Fame coach, or that Kendrick Green was something of a serviceable, what is he, backup? I don't even think he's still the starter.
Well, he was hurt, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the idea that Meyer has absolutely ruined all these guys or something like that, or is the new candidate, is asinine.
Well, just like pumpkin spice season, here is an annual tradition for Steeler Nation at Blitzberg again. Steelers offensive line hasn't been fixed since Mike Munchak left Pittsburgh. You have to say it every year. It's like Beetlejuice or something. Enough said, I guess.
Yeah, it did change a little bit because he did go somewhere else, right? He is someone's advisor now.
Oh, did he?
He does have another job again. I forget who. But yeah, I mean, they were great when he was around, but also it's been a long time at this point. I mean, I don't know if the guy still has the same juice, and also notice he's a consultant, not whatever it was. I forget where he ended up, but
Mike Munchak had Pro Bowlers.
Yes.
Our strongest. Well, you could argue the guards are pretty strong, but it's like next to that, the strongest is the 4th round tackle who nobody likes.
Right.
Dan Moore.
Also, I mean, they have so much more talent at tackle now. There was no 1st round picks at tackle when Munchak was here. I mean, these guys do have incredible talent as young as they are.
Okay, let's more of the same. At Jay Bailey NFL, Jarrett Bailey, reigning hater of the year. Steelers don't have a Broderick Jones problem. The Steelers have a Pat Meyer problem. How can one even? I don't even know how to gauge that.
Certainly. Well, and the main reason you don't know how to gauge that is because it's the second preseason game. I'm not giving up on this offensive line until a long time. Certainly not even just in this whole season, because again, there's so much talent there. So no, it may take a minute to gel, but there's still a very, very strong chance this ends up becoming the strong point of the team.
Oh, that would be pleasant if we're saying that in January. That would be be a gift under the tree.
Because that's what it was built. That's what it was built to be, and and people just expect it to be built literally overnight. I don't think it should take forever, but I do think they should get better as the season goes on. Yeah.
If not, man, I'm putting assistant GM feet to the fire. He's on my hot seat because, wasn't he the architect of this offensive line?
Certainly. He built that great one in Philadelphia with Hall of Famers and Pro Bowlers.
All right, one last thing. At Cash Ice 2, Cash, Matt Canada Jr. It's Pat Meyer, the second Matt Canada reference of the week. It's not just Arthur Smith. We've got 2 Canadas on the coaching staff.
As if it's like they've already forgot the who was the offensive line coach before this that left to Oregon in the middle of the season.
Oh, Clem, right? Adrian Clem.
Yeah, Adrian Clem. You thought if you didn't like Pat Meyer, wow, folks. But this picture. I don't have my glasses on, but I know there's something funky about Pat's tan. Like, what is it? Like, was this shaded like in Photoshop? How do you get this where just the front of your head has escaped the sun but nothing? I'm so confused.
He's got 11 years of NFL experience. Matt Canada had 2, and then you could say a ghost year as QB coach with Ben Roethlisberger, who probably didn't even return his texts. Right. But okay, enough of the O-line talk. That's my fear, but I can't live in my fears.
Exactly. Certainly not in the second preseason game in the middle of August.
Let's instead let's talk receivers.
Why didn't he pick him up with a bat?
I don't know. How about the tweet from @Faribaugh FB, Nick Faribaugh? Just hasn't felt like the Steelers have that guy that they can target on third and short for a money completion all night. This obviously happened during the game. Mm-hmm. Who is the third down? I mean, under Ben, it felt like it was Freiermuth.
Yes.
I feel like we haven't seen a ton of. I guess because he probably doesn't have a ton of snaps, but
right, and because they're not going to show you all that much. I think that's also a place. I mean, certainly when he came out, that was the whole point of Najee. That was one of the big parts of Najee. He could run the ball on first and second, had great hands, and ran routes like a receiver. We heard that so many times in Najee's first training camp for Ben's final year there. But yeah, I think those are two guys. George isn't exactly a that guy that can target. Van Jefferson certainly that'd be nice. But I think the idea is it's Pat, and I don't think you were going to see that in a preseason game.
Or maybe, Warren is usually the third down back. I could see him getting some catches, but, maybe even Patterson, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That, yeah.
Okay. How about B-Wall? B-Wall. 15 points in 2 weeks, and we've got Batman putting up the bat signal with Brandon Ayuk in the meme. Okay, so let's say Ayuk doesn't happen.
Right.
Are we shutting the door on adding a receiver? Is this the receiver room we've got?
I think they'll sign. I think somebody else will cut somebody, and they'll bring them in. I mean, it's Quincy Morgan was an important part of the Super Bowl 40 team, and they got him when I want to say it was the Browns cut him. So yeah, I imagine somebody will cut somebody surprisingly, and the Steelers will bring him in. I'm not saying that guy will be Brandon Ayuk, and it seems like every day now you get a different story that the Niners and Ayuk are closer, but they have yet to sign a contract, which is in its own way is even weirder than what happened last week, where it was like, oh, we have a trade. Now we're just closer on this deal. Well, you were closer yesterday. This is the most complicated contract negotiation in the history of mankind to get this wide receiver a big deal. But yeah, I imagine they'll add somebody, but the question is, I guess, how much better, if better, will this person they bring in who'll be cut by somebody else better than Van Jefferson?
Is that the measuring stick, or are we looking at like a Quez Watkins, a Scotty Miller?
I mean, I would like to think optimistically Van Jefferson is the guy. I mean, I'm still at the point where I'd be a little surprised if Quez Watkins makes the cut on this team, but I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he's just provided, hey, you're never returning kicks.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the tight end room at Adam Leviathan. Steelers starters have played 38 snaps this preseason. The tight end snaps have been 23 for Freiermuth, 19 for Darnell Washington, 10 for Michael Pruitt, only 1 for Connor Hayward. And I believe the next tight end is kind of the special teams guy.
Right.
So looking at that kind of breakdown, is Connor Hayward on the bubble for this roster?
I mean, I've heard some people mention something like that, but Connor plays a lot of special teams too. I think Rodney Williams, despite making some great plays last year on special teams, might be a candidate for the practice squad, certainly. But and we know that Arthur Smith likes this Pruitt person because they can also play fullback because they're a lot more of an actual like fullback body maybe than Hayward is. So I mean, this is the. I forget if it was Arthur Smith or somebody that said, like, and they didn't word it quite this mystically, but like preseason breeds illusions. And I think part of that comes in snap counts. Are we looking at this guy for a lot of snap counts because, wow, he's an important part of our offense? Or are we looking at this guy for a lot of snap counts because we aren't sure if we can use him? And for me, Pruitt is, I mean, Freiermuth and Washington are making this team. And I very much believe Connor Hayward's going to make this team too. But is Pruitt, since I don't know this guy, is this a possibility of, hey, we're giving this guy a look because we want to see him, or we're giving this guy a look because we want to see him?
I dig it. Let's, how about a little, where is it? How about a little con season? At Pittsburgh sports, Steelers takeaways. If this team plays poorly this year, no more blaming it on Colbert's picks and Colbert's lack of free agency moves. It's early, but this is Khan's team, come what may. Oh, the cracks are even showing on Omar Khan. It went from Omar's coming to now this is Omar's failures. Or all of a sudden, is the grade on Khan incomplete if this season turns out to be less than stellar?
Well, I think it's still incomplete, but I mean, it also means that next year has to be better. I mean, I want to see this team improve and compete for a playoff spot. To not get that would be a disappointment with all the changes that were made and with Rooney saying, hey, it's time to win a playoff game. I mean, that's the standard. That's what it should be. That having been said, I also believe that when you are a committed hater, you too have to get ready for the regular season. And this is getting geared up for that. This is making that shift from preseason hating to in-season hating. And that's what you're seeing here.
Right. I mean, almost like signing contracts only in the preseason. We can't really blame Khan after August when September comes. Speaking of those contracts, without this Ayuk action, is this hurting the chances for extensions on these other guys? I mean,
I don't think it's hurting because I assume, and hopefully, and again, I'm being a little bit optimistic here, but I assume that they do have, contracts in place, but they just want to know the Ayuk thing for sure. I can't imagine it'll be too hard to get a hold of Freiermuth or Hayward's agents when they know definitively the truth about Ayuk.
Sounds right to me. Okay, let's skip over some stuff. Let's just get the band on the field. And 4 years of podcasts. Don't know what I'm gonna do if we last 4 more years.
Honest to God.
Okay. The odds and ends start with at Ryan Detto. Jerome Bettis, legendary Pittsburgh Steeler, the bus, is here with Bob Casey. He's with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as they trek through Steeler Nation there. It was... we saw the bus, and they stopped at the Sheets on University Avenue in Moon, and then at the Permanis in Moon. Didn't get a schmuffin. I think that was a bit of a stumble.
Okay.
Should have got a schmuffin. The bus is there. I think it's safe to say that Franco would have been there had he been alive. And the Pittsburgh is going to be major election grounds here,
as it always is. And I did want to point out the bus no longer looks like he's in schmuffin shape. That bus looks very good. I mean, I've seen these pictures of him with the campaign, and I couldn't help but think of Augusts of years gone by where the bus did not look this good when he was a professional athlete. So good for the bus keeping himself in shape now that his playing career is ended.
In 2008, I think is when Dan Rooney came out with the Obama endorsement.
Yes.
We haven't really seen anything since then like that. Could you see? Tomlin never comes out with anything, it seems like.
Right, because because Tomlin
singularly focused.
He's singularly focused, and there's more downside to upside in Tomlin's position, certainly. But, I mean, it's, it could also be this. I didn't anticipate the bus doing this, did you? I mean, I can't say I had a firm grasp of the bus's politics at any point in my life.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. We haven't seen much of this recently out of Steeler Nation. I think we have to go back to 2008, I think.
I think if people
besides Franco but that was like Rage Against the Machine. That wasn't a political endorsement.
That was different. So I mean, I there's not that much time between now and the election, so I doubt you'd see more of it. But it's certainly not impossible. I mean, since the Rooneys did have that position in the Obama administration, so there certainly would be a connection to Harris. But yeah.
All right, one last thing here. Let's maybe my favorite, or maybe least favorite. I don't know what it was. At NFL_Dove Kleiman, comedian Adam Ray roasts the Steelers rookie class, and I wanted to play all these hilarious highlights, but unfortunately Adam Ray took the video down, and I texted you as soon as I saw it. I was just like, "This is so not funny," or it was like, "Well, I think you said it best." It was just something that he worked on the car ride over.
It was. He wrote those jokes on the plane to Pittsburgh, and I knew that even before he says in the set, "I wrote these jokes on the plane."
I want to be the comedian roasting the Steelers. I could have done that, I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, and it just seems like such a weird thing. I mean, I get the idea, like, oh, we'll have something fun for the rookies. We'll bring in a comic. But then, like, why are you bringing a comic none of them know to tell them just, mediocre roast jokes? Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. What was who was he talking to? Who did he call? Oh, gosh.
Roman Wilson was the one.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Roman Wilson was like the white guy who something.
No, that was Peyton Wilson.
Oh, Peyton Wilson. No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's so much I
was going to say, we're not doing these jokes on this show.
We'll have to do our own Steelers roast. Unique things here at What Jin's Talking About. We've got to do the Steelers roast. I meant to talk to Billy Gardell during the Best of the Fest.
I saw him going by. I saw him going into the men's room.
I thought maybe just get him in the green room and have a little chat. But maybe we'll just get him on the show properly. Why not?
Love to,
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's what we've been talking about.
That's what we've been talking about.
Year 4 starts off with a whimper, or
it's a contract year.
Yeah, right. We're like Najee. We're not promised a 5th year extension here. But unique things still.
Yes,
no one else can claim to be as unique as this program.
Honest to God.
So if you want to, stream the Steelers songs available on the streaming service of your choice. Send in a iTunes review, please, to help us in the algorithm. That'll get you in the running for one of our fabulous prizes. Mm-hmm. Just got in the mail the From Bradshaw to Peyton book from the old offensive coordinator.
Oh.
So that could be in the mix for the prizes. We also got the Double Yoy book. We've got the Dick LeBeau's Legendary. I've got so many books, and if you know how to read, or if you just need a paperweight, that might be the way to send us a review on iTunes, or and subscribe on YouTube. We need some eyeballs. Although I'll tell you, the Double Yoy interview, I think that's the most watched episode on YouTube yet. So
great.
There, we got some gain there.
Upward swing.
They didn't stick and they didn't subscribe. So take that for as it will. I guess it's kind of like the Arthur Smith offense. One week you're here, the next week you're not. I'm at Kyle Kreis on social media, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. Greg, how about yourself?
I am at Greg Benevent, B as in boy, E-N-E, V as in Victor, E-N-T.
We'll be back next week with, I guess it's 53-man roster time.
Oh,
the
God.
3 preseason games are in.
Yeah, no, it's time.
And I don't want to jinx it, but we may have the biggest pop star yet coming on. I don't know if it'll be next week or if it'll be in 2 weeks, but the biggest pop star in Steeler fandom. It's not Gary. It's not Grishecki or whatever. All right, that'll be the deep tease. Until next week, keep listening to your coach.
Be their best selves. That's going to be required.
Stay in school.